Hey there, welcome back. Another great week to be with you. I hope on this past week you've taken the information that Lauren shared with everyone around getting sufficient rest, because without rest, this body, this vehicle that we are in won't be working effectively. It won't be moving in the way that it's intended to. On today's episode, we talk about, I want to share with you a topic that's important, one that came to me in my personal development journey very early on and really took me to the next level. And what this topic is, I want you to just reflect to it on the matter of a mirror. Right, think about this. You're about to go out to dinner with some friends. You're about to go out and have fun, enjoy yourself for the night. I'm sure you want to look good. It's normal, human beings. We want to make sure that we look good in front of others. Now, what we do before we leave the home, at least once, if not multiple times, I know I do, to be fully authentic and real with you, what do? I take a look at myself in the mirror. And why do I do that? Because I want to see the reflection. I want to see what is on the other side. I want to see if I look good. So in today's episode, I want to talk about reflection. And not reflection in the way that I just explained it. Reflection in the way in which we see our lives. The way in which we look back on our day, on our week, on our month, on our year, on the entirety of our experience so far, and what have we gotten out of it. I remember Jim Rohn a while ago in one of his videos, he said something along the lines of, how can you keep track of your life if you haven't recorded it in history? That really took me, and it made me shift my perspective around what reflection was. I didn't even know what reflection was to begin with. Yet every single person that I listened to was talking about reflect, reflect, reflect. I had no idea what that meant until that message by Jim Rohn. And what that message meant was, day to day, we do things, we experience things, we go through life. If we're not going back at the end of the day and really just capturing moment by moment, maybe a lesson, maybe a challenge, maybe a win, we will more than likely forget that. If it's not kept in history one way or another, that win, that victory, that challenge, that defeat possibly, is gonna get lost. When I was able to see the power in reflecting, the power of sitting down, maybe the last half hour of my day, pen to paper is the way that I choose to reflect, and I start seeing, what's happened today? What's going on in my life that I can take from today into tomorrow? Now let's talk about why reflect. Why is it important to go back? Why is it important to sit down and be intentional about capturing the moment to moment, the experience of life for tomorrow? This mind, we talk about it all the time. It is a powerful tool. It is very powerful, so powerful that it in fact forgets the things that have happened that maybe made us feel bad. We suppress the things that don't feel good. We suppress the things that are ultimately traumatic. Now, the level of trauma obviously ranges, but time to time, we usually forget those things. Now, we forget the event itself, however, the emotion is still there. So instead of us being able to deal with the event, deal with the emotion, and transform that emotion, we get stuck in the emotion, forget the event, and live now life from that particular level of feeling. And we forget that even happened. And next thing we know, we go another day, and we're wondering why we're afraid, why we doubt, why we can't take that step forward towards that goal, whatever that goal may be. Reflection opens up an avenue for you to start looking at those challenges, start looking at those lessons. And when you record these things, you're not just recording them for no particular reason. When you're recording them, it's like you're taking a conscious choice to take a look at what's happened, and you're now put a spotlight on it. Putting a spotlight on it does a couple of different things. For one, it opens up an access for you to look at the situation objectively. What I mean by that is when you can take a situation and you're reflecting on it, you're writing it down, or however you choose to do it, that's really the most simplest way to do it. When you're writing it down, just writing out what happened, you get to see that maybe the way you're seeing it isn't in fact what happened. Maybe the way that you're seeing it and perceiving the situation has been warped. by, again, the emotions that from the past are still living in your presence. Writing down the event will show you that, whoa, wow, this event actually wasn't that traumatic, or, oh, wow, I actually had a lot to do with that event taking place. And being able to put yourself in a level of agency, that level of personal control, that level of responsibility makes available now the ability for us to live a life in a more intentional, chosen way. Being able to take a look at your life from that way now allows you to say, tomorrow, if this particular situation or circumstance happens again, I now have the ability to choose from a place of choosing, a place of response, not a place of reaction. Reflection allows for that response to really get present, and we can now respond to situations instead of react. That's why it's so crucial to start looking at the situations of your life from a level of reality versus the way we're seeing them. Reflection is reflecting on your day-to-day life, opens up the ability to do so, opens up the ability for you to take a look at your life for what's so and what's the interpretation of it. And it can be a heavy task, because you'll see for yourself that maybe at times what you thought was quote unquote wrong was just the way that you saw it. And then you can take a look at it from the other perspective. You had a big victory, and you may say, maybe I got lucky in that. Maybe just thank God I got lucky. But no. When you can start looking at reflection in the wins and the losses, when you win and you triumph over a challenge, you get to say, I could have easily went in that direction. However, in my level of responding to it, I went in this direction. Little do I know, I actually created the success. What you're starting to do now at that point in time is you're building momentum. It's like you're pumping the well, right? You're pumping that thing forever, no water coming out. Next thing you know, you got gallons. That's what reflection allows you to do in both the situations that you were responsible for victories and for losses. And it's important because that momentum building up gives you motivation, gives you inspiration. You no longer need that extra cup of coffee. You may drink it because you choose it, but it's not because you need it. Because momentum loves momentum. What I mean by that is, you push a car that's in neutral down a hill. You can't stop that. When you start acting from a place of choosing and a place of response instead of a place of reaction, you now have self-belief, you now have faith, you now have the courage to know, you know what, I can actually take the steps necessary to achieve whatever I want to achieve. And that's what reflection does for you. You can take a look at your life in both what worked and what didn't work, and you can take the level of agency to know, you know what, this didn't work because of this, and this did work because of this. And that this is because of this. The personal human being choosing something. Now, the way in which you reflect is up to you. There's many ways. The simplest way, and the one that I was shown, was through paper. Pen and paper every single day. 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the end of the day. You choose. Put the date on top, write. Now, the cool thing is you can look for questions. You can start with a very simple question, something like, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for? What are 3 things that today just brought me a level of joy into my experience, and it just filled me up with gratitude? What is the key lesson that today I learned so that tomorrow I can take into it and I can make tomorrow a powerful and productive day? And what is one thing I acknowledge myself for? What's a small win that I can acknowledge myself for so I can start that momentum process? This reflection is a powerful tool because it opens up a whole new world. And it may be new, but just like we always say, it's all about you experiencing it. Until you put the pen to paper, until you start to reflect, looking at your losses, looking at your wins, none of this really makes any difference. So I invite you, tonight, get yourself a piece of paper. Doesn't have to get anything fancy. Put the date on top. What are 3 things that brought you gratitude today? 3 things that just brought you joy. What are 3 lessons you've taken from the day? And what is something that you can acknowledge yourself for? Start pumping the well. It's about time you start building the life that you want. It's about time that you start living the life that you know you're here to be. It starts with this one simple thing, with reflection, personal agency, personal control, responsibility. Have a good day.